3, 2, 1. We're back with episode 62 of Operation Dad in week 2
Bam.
of 75 Hard.
Starting off.
We're back to our roots, baby.
That's
like
right.
we talked about last week. We're in it. We're in it. So, quick recap. I mean, how was week 1? Getting back into the routine, the schedule. How's it going?
Good. I mean, there wasn't, you knew, so you prepped, you planned, and so far so good. I mean, I'd say probably mine had a little bit more of a, just being gone in Kansas City with FCA, and I was wasn't sure how that was all going to look with all the information just being worn out, which I was, but it was good to have Kelsey there, just on our 45-minute walk, just be able to decompress, talk about all the information that was just rapid fire, drinking out of a fire hose, trying to build a plane that hasn't been quite built yet, in the air. But, I mean, no, it was good. Woke up super early, did the workouts. Diet was on point, was able to read. The water was definitely a lot easier when you're sitting in a room with a bunch of people. So the water, I done by the water most days by 3 o'clock. So
yeah, it's
it was
nice.
good.
So how was it? How was the old KC?
It was good. FCA was, it was, dude, it's super cool whenever you get around like-minded people, and with obviously FCA, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, just talking sport, but also, applying Jesus and, the biblical principles that it can actually attend to when it comes to idols and having these kids that understand when you start discipling coaches and athletes, and then obviously in our area with the sports complex, being able to talk to travelers that come in every weekend. I think it's going to be great. The support raising thing is going to be fun.
It'll
it's
be
going
a
to be
new challenge.
a new challenge, but I think it's going to be fun, and just kind of leaning on just, again, the biblical principles of just those no's, because I don't know about you guys, but most of my life I've always gotten what I wanted, in a sense, only because, and I say that because I typically went after things I knew I could get, and so this will be definitely one of those things where when I start just having conversations with people and just, and then just to begin to talk to them more about it and ask if they be part of the ministry, it's like, and they're like, oh man, I really love what you're doing, but not right now, or maybe later, or no, maybe, so it's going to be, knowing it's not about me, and I know it's not for me, it's for, the kingdom, and it's for just these kids, and because I think we talked on some episodes before, think about football.
Yeah.
You lift, 9 weeks, you lift, 4 years go by, then let's say maybe you go on to college, when that sport's over, what do you have now to hang your hat on? What have you picked up along the way? And if you've been discipled, what seeds have you been dropping this entire time to where they get close to being done, you've already pre-planned in their minds, okay, maybe they come try to do something like this because they've seen me. Maybe they just get a niche for some sort of ministry. Maybe they get plugged in. I mean, there's a chance and a possibility that these kids and even these coaches can begin to think about something after the fact whenever they get done with sport.
Well, and it speaks to what we talk to. Like, if you've identified as an athlete your whole life, from 3rd grade to 22 when you graduate college, and then it's gone, you're like, well, what do I do? Like, what do I do? Like, who am I? Like, when I'm not this? And so you talked about it a couple episodes ago, like, kids grow up, like, and leave the house. And so if you aren't you, and you don't know who you are without little kids, like, that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And so, or if you aren't, diligent about, well, my spouse is with me forever, so that doesn't change. So am I nurturing and taking care of that, because I can place an identity around that, like, am I good with me when I'm not doing what I think I am? That's good.
I don't just, because obviously you have an identity in things, it's just, I guess, don't let that sport become your identity to the point to where that's all you have. Like you said, with like spreading this, like, you need to nurture every little seed that you drop around your little circle, because you want all those to grow. So whenever one becomes fully planted and prospers fruit, well, then you go on to the next seed. Like, you constantly have, like, my identity isn't in my kids, my identity is in God, and then in my marriage. because these
You've
kids
been
will
called
leave.
to parent your
Yeah,
kids.
right.
It's what you. It's not who you are. It's what you do. Like, and it doesn't. That what you do doesn't define you. Like, we don't walk around and you're like, you know, it's really weird to like greet and be like, if you were like, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Adam, the UPS driver," or like, like nobody. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not who you are. It is not your identity.
Yeah.
But before we get to Vince, you said another thing there that I thought was interesting. So you said that in life you've gone after things that you just thought you could get.
Yeah.
So not talking financially, like achieving more money or anything like that. But do you think you missed out on opportunities and things because you were like, well, I can't get that, or it's going to be hard to get that, so I won't?
Yeah, yeah. It comes back to, you know, the phrase that I used before about potential and performance, and I got told quite a bit that, you know, hey, you got a lot of potential in X, Y, and Z, but then I knew someone, let's say like one of you two, that were probably had done it and was doing it well, but then I was going to come in at new, so I didn't figure I'd do as well. So I'm like, you know, I just failure, you know, fear of failure. Was part of it, and then also there was just my circle was like, you know, you already got this going, so why would you want to go and try to start that? Like, don't you like where you're at? Like, isn't it? Don't you? You know, it's like, and so with this, it was, I've always wanted to coach. When I first got out of high school, for the longest period of time, I wanted to be a teacher. You know, and then those two things came to fruition. You know, like obviously. Went down a path of drinking and just partying and that stuff. So like the school thing that didn't work out.
Well, you could have still been a teacher.
Well, yeah, well, that's true. Well, like, you got to go to class to learn, and so like I lacked that. But then, you know, as times went on, obviously served, and then just I've always seen these things like, oh man, I really feel like I'd probably be very decent at that. You know? And so I take this part of the FCA, and it's almost even better because now I not only get to minister to kids, I also get to reach these kids in a totally different avenue of life. Like, I have a curriculum of sorts, obviously the Bible, but also then just I get to be a part of these kids' sports that I go to, and talk to these coaches, disciple them, try to work on certain things of their life that maybe they can just maybe tweak a little bit of what they look at and the way they approach certain things, and just get them to understand a little bit more biblically about, you know, the understanding of it, and just be able to pursue them to do things that have helped me pull me away from, you know, some sin, and focus more on Him.
Well, I don't know if you realize, like, I think with anything, when you're involved, like, it takes effort, and then it has to be one of the things that you want to model for your children. You can't, we're going to talk about authenticity more in this episode, but like, if you're not authentically community driven, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then maybe this isn't like for you, and there's other ways to do it. But if you are somebody that wants to serve and be out in the community and give back, your kids see that, and like, that's something that they can do. But in the same thing, it presents a new benefit because we're in a smaller community. So as you are now in the schools, and let's say you do this for 5-10 years, you will now know every kid that your kid knows. So now when you come home and your kid's talking about, I want to go hang out with blah, 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 like, I know exactly who that is.
Yeah.
And now you've got the ability to know and be like, yeah, I know here, or let's be like, I need to pay a little more attention right now, like who, you know, my kids are hanging out with. So it does give you some insight into their life as they get older and don't want to share. Could you imagine if, like, with Liz, you knew every single one of the kids at the high school?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's a senior now, but I'm talking freshman year, if you were doing FCA and you were walking the halls, you'd be like, this is making more sense now, you know? So that is a cool opportunity there too, just for your family and for your kids to get to see and be a part of, you know, a ministry and how you operate. It's cool. And so,
You know what he glossed over though?
what?
That
Well, after we get to that,
I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, we're coming back to
I was
that.
like,
Hold on. You're
talking about his week.
Hold on.
He started
We're
off with a
coming.
bang.
We're coming back to that. We're coming back to that. You gotta build it. You gotta build the momentum.
Man.
Yeah.
But okay, so Adam talking about fear of failure because he didn't think, you know, I wanted to do things that I thought I could get. you said when you got here, Vince, to the gym, like 75 hard, you're like, nah. Why was that your initial, and now you're on your third time
Oh, from the you talking about
for 75 hard?
first time?
My mindset at the time was, I was working out. I'm good.
Oh.
I know what I'm doing. Why would I want to go walk outside in a thunderstorm?
Yeah.
Or why would I want to do, like, I wasn't reading at the time. I just wasn't doing the things. I'm like, that doesn't sound like fun. Like, it didn't. And, but,
Well, it's not fun.
well, there was no community around it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, I heard people talk about it, and I was like, doing that by yourself just no thanks.
hard.
There's nobody to hold me accountable if I just want to go for a walk, or if I want to, I'll just have one slice of pizza. Like, there was no accountability at that time. There was nobody. Kelsey and I weren't living together. There was none of that.
right,
So
yeah.
it was just me in the darkness, and like, no. But once I started here, and then you guys started talking about it, and I was like, okay, like, I was really getting back into it myself, and
yeah.
Kelsey was around, and so it was like, okay, maybe we can give this a try. And then once it started, it just never stopped.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love it. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think for us, like, round 3 or 4, for some of us, like, it's like falling back into, like, for me, it becomes like football season. Like, you have the off season, and then when training camp starts, you know what to expect, and you're just like, well, I'm in this now for the next 18 weeks. Well, for us, it's like 12. But it's just kind of like that thing, like, this is what I do now. So
Yeah,
it's
well,
just, it's just a season.
The group that I'm working with for accountability and all that stuff, there's been 3 or 4 days this week where by 7 o'clock I've got half my water done, my 10 pages, a workout, and a picture. Like, I got half the task done.
Didn't that feel good?
And
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like, how are you doing this? I'm like, well, it helps that I've done this 3 other times.
Yeah.
And other than the second workout and the picture, it's just a daily routine. So,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
like, I read every day, but I just front loaded I had the extra time in the morning, so I got my 10 pages knocked out.
Yeah.
So that's just me knowing how to do it, as opposed to you guys doing it for the first time and everything else, and just already having those habits built in.
Yeah, yeah. It's good. I like it. All right. So, the moment, the story. Okay, so Adam.
I'll keep her short.
You don't take it however long you need, homie.
Well, it can't be that long because you.
Yeah, it can't be that long. You only, at least you remembered us small guys. So go ahead. So you go to Kansas City, but you make a pit stop.
Make a little pit stop. Yeah. So the fear of failure and just the idea of finally being able to know how to message somebody on Instagram without like making you mad.
Hold up. Let's pause, because this is hysterical. I had to explain to Adam that, like, because he's an old head. He doesn't get social media. He thinks that everything's AOL Messenger and dial-up.
You've got
So we got the Operation Dab Instagram page, and I would post a post, like a reel or whatever, and Adam would go through and be like, well, I want people to see this. So he would send the post to people's inboxes like, hey. And I was like, listen, when they're scrolling Instagram, this will come up. You don't have to push this into their feed. I was like, Messenger is like texting someone. Like, are you sending these posts to people through text messages? Are you screenshotting these and sending them out? No, like, let's not bombard people with these, like, come see our post.
push the.
And so I had to relate it to, like, and then, like, back in the day, you didn't poke yourself on Facebook.
Right.
You poke other people. So,
That's
like,
right.
it's kind of like poking yourself.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
let's use it to communicate, and let's not use it to, like, attack.
Yeah.
Don't spam 'em.
Those
Don't spam 'em with everything.
Yeah, Adam would make a great robot. Like, he was surpassing. He was like, "Are you a robot?" Adam's like, "No, but I sure can act like one." So anyway, taught Adam how to send messages to communicate on Instagram.
Yeah, so I got hold of Will Grumke, which is one of their top guys there at First Form, I think on the educational part. And I just reached out to him because I've always kind of liked some of the things he's done, and he's always kind of liked some of the things we were doing. So I thought that was pretty awesome for someone of that status of that company who we've, have done a lot with as far as the supplement parts. And then, of course, Andy with the 75 Hard, you know, the godfather of that, and then just the podcast. You know, I know we all listen to Andy, you know, so we got back from, was it the Arnold? And I think I just reached out saying, I think I'd reached out.
You already started.
You'd already
beforehand.
started.
Kind of laid
Yeah.
the foundational work. It's not, like, man, he may not even
See it.
see it, because I do send, I had privately messaged him before on certain things that he had done, and I'd seen some scriptures and some things like that, and he, you know, he would always message back. I'm like, man, that's pretty awesome. He does that. I'm like, yeah, I'll just see what it'll take for me to get a workout in on day one. And so, yeah, like, did that whole thing. He messages back, did a voice memo as far as just getting some personal information. I'm like, wow, this thing is going to happen. So sure enough, you know, we arrive.
What's your mindset heading there?
Just
Now
to-
you know it's gonna happen.
Just to honestly just try to be as calm as possible, and I'm not knowing who I'm going to run into there, and if I do speak with them, you know, just try to articulate the words. You know?
Don't fanboy.
Yeah. And so yeah, we walk in the door, we go to the desk. Lady's just super nice and grateful. The sports car is sitting right there after the race. It's all banged up a little bit, like it's just like in its natural state after a race, which was cool. They were in a meeting. Will was kind of messaging me back and forth saying they were going to have the meeting. That John was going to talk with me. He was a future FCA. He'd actually been a part of.
Oh wow.
Because I asked him what we were doing, and he's like, "Oh man, yeah, I've been a part. Like, I've been a part of that growing up in high school and stuff. Like, man, that's cool." So he kind of gave me a little feedback of what he'd had learned. And so it was just, I'm like, man, this is so like how everything's tied together. So we walk in. He gave us the rules. The plates have to be just right dress. Everything has to be unracked. Everything has to be put back in its natural state. Everything, whenever you're done with the Smith machines, has to be put back. Pins on top. Basically, it makes sense because it lets the person know that you're done.
Mm-hmm.
It's not still at 110, and you know, like, because I was doing flies, they enter all the way in the back. So it's like it lets the next person know, hey, you're done. So I can get on that machine without even having to, like, because I'm sure when that place gets packed, you have to be able to like know without knowing.
Right.
And yeah, you go to the bathroom. You know, whenever you're done washing your hands in the sink, you grab paper towels, you wipe the sink out to where it looks clean, wipe everything down. Their locker rooms are, I mean, it's like a baseball clubhouse with all the recliners, all the TVs, all their little, like, their lockers are huge and massive to where they
Like
can,
the sit-in lockers.
the sit-in
Yeah.
lockers and stuff. I mean, it was just like, because John's like, yeah, you can take your bag in there, just this one's free, put your stuff here. I'm like,
Mama, I got called up.
yeah, yeah.
I'm pitching tonight.
Yeah, and so then I'm just kind of working out, and like I'm trying not to like,
Probably a first baseball reference.
yeah,
Yeah, true.
and all the supplements were free. You could anything you want to take, the Mega, the Post, all that stuff sitting there for you to take, and the coffee bar. You know, they got this new protein coffee that they recommend that we had. Well, then here comes the most exciting part for me. So I'm doing butterfly with the Smith machine, and then I'm doing butterfly flat bench, and so I'm bouncing between the two, and so I'm just kind of sitting there between that set, and I just kind of happen to look over, and here he comes, Andy Frisella. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I mean, he's got the sunglasses on, like this big old bro. I mean, he's massive. He's every bit of 260, you know, like
Oh,
he
yeah.
says. And I was just like, oh, shoot my shot. Shoot your shot.
All right.
I go, hey, what's up, brother? He's like, hey, what's going on, man? And I kind of did one of these. And I was like, how's your day been? He's like, oh, man, it's been good. And he's like, how you doing? He's like, yeah, I like your shirt, because I was wearing the Real American Freedom t-shirt. I said, yeah. I go, these things are hard to get. I wanted the ugly sweater. And I literally, by the time I put my thumbprint down, it was gone. He's like, yeah, you know, of course, yes, this stuff goes fast, doesn't it? And I'm like, yeah. So, yeah, it's my first time here. Glasses come off. Now he's in. He's
Yeah.
just like, this is your first time, you know, and it's like, you know, you think of phase 3, random act of kindness, talking to a stranger, like that. All you could just tell it had clicked in his mind of like,
Yeah.
I've got someone new here.
Yep.
I'm going to talk to him.
Yep.
And so like, yeah, so I told him exactly what I was doing, why we were traveling through, you know, pointed to Kelsey. They're over there on the elliptical. He's like, man, that's awesome, bro. Like, that's so good. Like, I'm just so happy that you're here. He's like, he's like, I'll be back. I'm going home. And you know, I was thinking maybe we might have another conversation as he walked through. But just like he was just kind of like Corey.
Yeah.
Just he literally made me feel
Yeah.
like I was the only person in the gym. And he's like, bro, let's get a selfie, you know. And so of course we did the selfie thing, and like I'm just like, oh man, like this is unreal. Like to be
Melted butter.
yeah, like just because you just didn't. I mean, like, what are the chances?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's like what I texted you that morning. There's few times when opportunity meets timing. Like where you put in the work and then the timing lines
Right.
up where it's like, and the timing was back from the Arnold, going to Kansas City. You're training at 11 a.m. on a Monday. Like just the timing was wild.
Yeah.
And then you have this opportunity to get in the building at the right time. On a Monday, in the office, everyone's working, and you get to come in and work out. And like that is what we talked about on that bonus pod with my buddy Badger. Like I just think when you're doing the thing, like it's not luck. I just think winning causes that momentum and
Yeah.
you just get more opportunity and like more chances.
Yeah.
You just give yourself a chance
Yeah. Well,
when you're
'cause-
doing the things.
Well, we had the momentum coming from the Arnold,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and momentum's a lot easier to keep going
Than
than
start.
it is to start.
Right.
And like I said, we were all rolling high off of
Mhm.
that and just shooting our shot and abandoned buildings, whatever
Yeah.
our phrase was for the like. So yeah, it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. Yeah, perfect timing and
Because I mentioned that Dad's, you know, our community, you know, this is day one of 75 Hard and we started the group, and I guess, I mean, I dropped the ball on just what we're doing personally.
Yeah, you're good.
But,
We'll get a
like,
second shot.
We'll
rolled
get
it-
there.
Yeah, we rolled into like just knowing that we were doing this community. He's like, I love that, man. Like that's what we need. Because I said, you know, we're trying to spur on other dads because there's just a shortage of them. You know, as far as just being leaders in their homes and leaders even
Yeah.
at their broken homes, like to just like even the guys that we have in our community in our group, it's like whether or not that you complete like the whole 75, you're going to feel that momentum of just feeling something good for a period of time, and you want to continue that momentum. Like just because you fail doesn't mean like that you're done.
That you still gain something.
You still
Yeah.
gain something
Yeah.
out of it. And he's just like, man, I love that for you, bro. That's awesome, you know. And that's when, you know, we parted ways. And so then Will popped. We just finished workout. Will popped in to say hi, and I mean, we had probably one of the best conversations. You know, like for the next 30 minutes, he's just like really in tune, listening to everything that I'm saying about what we got going on. He got me some of that new watermelon Formula One stuff, which is pretty bomb. And just him just being attentive to what Kelsey and I were talking about and what we were doing. And then, you know, I said, you know, how hard would it be for us to get back here? You know, and so we were walking through kind of logistically walking that out as far as just timing and when we all three can go. And, you know, I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like,
And
this
now
is
we know
going-
it's got to be a Monday.
Yeah. Like, well, because when we were leaving, DJ was doing the editing there
Yeah.
in the room. And so, like, it was just kind of cool how they treated me, you know, Kelsey and I, and us being, like, first formers, like, they knew, like, because that's what he said. He's like, I know you guys aren't, like, you got it one time, like, because I'm sure they went back and looked at names and what we purchased and done and stuff. Like, probably, I don't know, like, so they know we're a part of the community. They know that we're bought in to what they're trying to do, and that's what they want to continue to have us keep doing. And their appreciation is, hey, if you're willing to drive 2 hours to come work out, we'll take you.
Yeah.
well, it just speaks to the culture.
Right.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, you talked about how everything was dressed right, dressed, and it was a military mindset basically. But
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's the culture that he's ingrained. You know, the culture at old school is different. Like, but it's ingrained
Yes.
in the building
Mhm.
basically. Like, you know, when you walk into old school that it's gonna be loud.
Mhm.
It's gonna be, but it's gonna be energetic. It's gonna be fun. Where you go
Yep.
to first form, it's gonna be military style. Like, put things back a certain way. When you talk about wiping the sinks out, I'm like, yeah, I remember doing that. Making
That's
sure.
awesome. Yeah, I know.
That's so good. Like, and it leads to today's topic, so we're back to questions.
Ah,
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah.
We're
I've
back
done
to
this long
questions.
enough. We need to start coming up with our
Yeah,
own.
it's great.
You gotta start drilling him.
Yeah.
And you guys gave the perfect segue. So I was looking at like some dad things, right? Like, and we went through these 12 disciplines on what we want our kids to know and what do we want them to be. And one of them was talking about like, you know, things we talk about is raising our kids to be their own person, like to be influenced by their family and what they view as important and morals and whatever their stances and their beliefs, like to stay true to those and not be influenced by society, right? And not try to, that it's okay to not fit the mold. You don't have to do the 9 to 5 and go to college, and you don't have to do this, and you don't have to, like, what are you passionate about? What things are risky for you? Like, you can go out and achieve and don't be afraid and all those things. So then it begs the question, and you guys totally, I would say that First Form feels that way because it's authentic.
Mm-hmm.
That is who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Corey in Old School felt authentic because that's who he is.
Mm-hmm.
It would be really weird if you put Andy in Old School and Corey at First Form.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It wouldn't fit. It would
No.
feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so, because Andy comes from building up this huge company, Corey built up a huge company, but did it from the coal mines, an old school trailer
Yeah.
park mentality. So do you feel that you have lived a more authentic life overall, or have you fit a mold that society placed you in?
Oh no. Like, if I look back, I mean, more authentic in the last 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
but prior to that, no. I was fitting in to fit in.
Yeah.
Is what I was doing. So
In what ways? Like, not
Well,
just
the-
career-wise,
I mean,
but like just
well,
in general.
Career-wise, no, because I mean, I wasn't working a 9 to 5.
Right.
I was working 12 hours in fast food,
Yeah.
slaving away doing that. But like Andy says, Thirsty Thursdays.
Yep.
Friday night at the bar.
Yep.
Saturday, whatever. Sunday morning for football. Watch, drinking. So yeah, I was fitting in where I could fit in. That's how it always was. Just doing what society said was the norm. Whereas now I am totally opposite.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I mean, I always, the society has changed to the point of now, I don't think those 9 to 5s are just as mandatory like they
Right.
once were, like growing
Right.
up. Like, Vince and I probably saw a lot more of that with our parents and stuff, and, my dad working in a factory, mom worked for a school district, like you clock in, clock out type thing, and of course, being married to Kelsey, same concept. And I always knew, I think this with what's going on now with me, because I've always loved my time.
Yeah.
I've always
Good.
enjoyed like having my time for me at the time, just for personally mainly party when I was younger, and then also just because now, the kids come home, I didn't want to. I've done the travel work, like where I've been gone for
Yep.
weeks, days on end. Same thing, and mainly it's been this program. This program has completely changed my mindset on the realities of I can actually gain when I take advantage of the time that I do have and get the most out of that time. Then it allows me to have the time for the things that I want to do later. So if it's just me and I'm home by I'm trying to knock as many things out that I possibly can while I am free away from them being at school, Kelsey being at work, and or like we get our critical tasks done. Andy always says, I didn't do anything until that stuff was done. So if I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and everything was done by 10, guess what? I've got from 10 until the rest of the day to do what I want to do.
Right. So I guess for you, Adam, like in what ways did you think you tried to fit the mold for a while? Like in the way that you acted, the way that you dressed, the things you did, like what was the fitting the mold for you?
What's that imposter syndrome?
Yeah,
Where
we talked about last week, yeah.
I would see what everyone else had, and I would try to mirror that just to fit in, because even though not having a full education, not having really some of the best, most prestige jobs, like I would just still try to dress, quote
Keep
unquote,
up with the Joneses?
Yeah, I would try to dress a part just to feel a part, so maybe someone might think I am that part. And a lot of times I just wasn't fully that part. I would take shortcuts. I would try to, bend a little bit here and there, and not take on the full responsibilities and struggle to eventually come out of that struggle in a fruitful way to be able to be my own personal success instead of, just getting by.
Doesn't that get exhausting? To
It
try
did.
to try to be something you're not?
Well, yeah, because I wasn't created to be that way.
Right. And and so like testament to Vince, right? Like Vince is Vince and wears what Vince wears
Right.
and does what Vince does, and like because that's who he is.
Mm-hmm.
It would be very uncomfortable for him if we were like, hey, we need to look a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
we need to dress a certain way, like when we're at the Arnold, you need to do this, because it wouldn't have been Vince. It wouldn't have been authentic. And
we were shopping for you a sports coat, and I would have been looking for a new T-shirt.
Yeah.
okay, so that leads into here. So, sport coat thing. Like, early on, I would have been like, I want to separate and look like what you're talking about. Like, this would have been like high school, early college. Like, I want to look good, and I want to like fit in, and I want to be like that. Now, it is whatever I want. Like, whatever I am feeling.
Yeah.
Like, so I had that vision for that outfit day one, and I was like, I don't care what anybody thinks, I'm gonna feel good in it. Like, I'm gonna like this. And then, like, same thing. Like, the other day I wore my, like, uncle's 1983 Bugle Boy shirt and looked straight up, like, crazy. It's, like, purple, pink, blue, yellow, neon. And I'm like, because I don't, like, I like it.
Yeah.
And if nobody else likes it, don't wear it. Like,
Right.
I like it. And I like to listen to this music, and I like this stuff. And so the nice thing is, like, if somebody doesn't like it, at least they know me.
Right.
At least they're not, it's not like I'm coming in trying to act like I'm different than who I am. And that comes back to, it's almost like that lie thing that, like, I'm trying to get, that I want my kids to learn. Like, it is way harder to keep track of lies and keep all those straight.
Yeah.
Like, if I tell mom something, I tell dad something, and then I tell my teacher something, I tell this something. And then I got to keep track of all those lies. Like, you might get really, really smart. Or you might get really, really caught.
Yeah.
And so if you're just true to yourself and authentic and people know it, then you aren't trying to put on an act like hilarious. So we go to, and this won't help us, we go to Emerald Acres for the opening, this big sports travel complex on their big opening day last December. And I walk in and you've got movers and shakers within the community, you know, and people are trying to talk to them. And like, I'm like, I do not care. Like I do not care. And so, who are the people I like talking to? Nothing against them. I was real tight with the janitors that were picking up trash. So I started following them around, talking with them about how's it been, because I feel way more comfortable doing that than like trying to get into this group of 5 people that are standing in line to talk with a guy that like gets talked to all day. And so it's like, just be you, and people are drawn to authenticity. And the beautiful thing is, like, if you're authentic, if it's real, it can't be threatened, because nobody can throw something back in your face. Like, if somebody listens to this podcast and they're like, those guys are not like that at all.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? We're pretty raw. Like, we're pretty real. And so if we started acting like First Form or Andy, or we went full Corey, like, it wouldn't be, we can't mimic it. We have to be our own version.
We're a hybrid.
Yeah, we are the hybrid.
both.
We are the hybrid. We do a little bit of both. And so for your kids, how do you want to teach them? Because it is hard. They want to fit in. That is the biggest thing with middle school and teenagers. I have to fit in. I have to just camouflage myself to society so I'm not whatever. So how do we show them that it's okay to be authentic in what you like and what you want to do?
I'll go first, because obviously Elizabeth completed 75 Hard.
Yeah, and that is
Shout out.
not fitting the norm.
That's fitting the norm, and I think that's where when we talked to her last night, and because we really didn't know, I asked Kelsey, I go, have we ever asked her why she decided to start this? Like, because she said that she was going to, but we never really. And with her, we didn't want to like push and discourage and like, well, you need to do this is how we did it, kind of like what we're talking about. Like, okay, kind of going off school, she needs to figure this out for her, and so like we'll just kind of. I'm like, I knew for certain. I'm like, I'm just gonna let her come to me if she needs anything, and I'm just gonna observe and witness to, just in, you know. So that was one of the first questions that we asked her, and you know, and she explained to us kind of why, mainly because of her ankle that she had, and she hadn't really played sports up until soccer last year, so she was pretty much out of like sports shape. as far as conditioning goes. And then just how she physically felt with her overall appearance and body, like as far as where the scale was at and those types of things. And still, like, I don't know even though if she understands like the subconscious in her, that she knew that she had to get ready for something that she wasn't quite sure of. You know, and like, so I think as she processed these walks and as she was beginning to understand more and more about it, because she had time to listen, because I think she's been listening to us, she's been trying to get caught up, and I think those little seedlings were getting dropped, and I think then she was starting to water them, and there was a little bit of spurring on, I think, with some of it, because she explained certain episodes where she was able to talk about those, and then of course her time management, like she didn't realize just how much time she was wasting with just mindless scrolling and putting in her mind all these things that aren't truths. Like they're not, like that's not her identity in her. Like that doesn't define.
It's hard to match society if you don't know what society's doing.
I tell her all the time during lunch, I'm like, you know how long it took someone to make that reel or that post? Like that wasn't just a one and done. I mean, it could have been,
right?
But just the way it's hard unless you just really get used to it. And so don't put that for what it's worth. You know, like that's not its overall worth. So just kind of continue to grow and do you, and then you're going to see, you know, a lot. And she does. She looks a lot different than she did
like
on day
20
one.
pounds down.
Yeah, she's
crushing.
I mean, like she looks so much better,
Yeah.
and she said that she feels so much better.
But I don't think it's the weight.
It's not
the
weight.
weight. It's not the scale. It's the mind.
It's the mind.
How much weight and baggage did she lose in her mind?
Yeah.
Through the program.
Yeah, and so there's obviously like some other things that we went through, and I think that it helped her figure those things out. Like, wow. And so as far as the identity part and just what you're talking about, authenticity, you know, I think now she knows this program and for what it actually brings to the table when it's done and done right. And then also I told her, when you're in school and you're feeling something, you know that you got to go back to this. You know you have to try this again, because it isn't just like I posted on her mom's on the Facebook, like, this is perishable. This will go away. It is inevitable, because society will draw us back into those routines that aren't, you know, in a way that are going to help you and more just bring you down. And so and with the littles, I just think that a constant affirmation of them knowing who they are, you know, with Ari's dyslexia, you know, and she's getting to that age where she's leaning towards that middle school, and just being true to herself and not, like you said, just telling truths. Like, you're going to get in less trouble if you tell me or your mom the truth prior to, because if we find out that it's the opposite, like that's when the wrath's going to come down.
Right. It's good.
Yeah, mine. I don't think Austin could be more authentic than what he is. He's a kid that will go to school in his pajama pants.
Yeah,
seen it. And the door shuts in his face, and he hits himself in the
as
door.
As much as I try to tell him, like, hey, just put a pair of blue jeans on once in a while, just for your overall appearance. Like,
I get that.
He's like,
I don't really care what people think.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
I'm like, I appreciate it, but yeah, I mean, he is who he is. Like,
it's good.
So, and then Wes, he is, again, he's who he is. He tries little things here and there, like haircuts, just what's new, but nothing major. He's still,
and some of that's finding what you like, I guess. You know, they are still exploring.
Blue jeans and cowboy boots and a t-shirt, like that's just who he is. He likes his country.
Wonder why.
He likes his. He turned 16 on when this comes out. He'll be turned 16.
Wow.
Nice.
So he was showing off his truck that he's got and the new
Nice.
stuff he's got put on it, and like that's just him. Like him and Austin both, they love their sports cars and stuff like that. Like I can't get into it, but that's them. They go to all the car shows and the Broadway cruises. Like that's just who they are. And there's nobody's gonna take away from it. Colt is, same thing. He just, and I think a lot of it goes back to like what Mike talked a few weeks ago. Caught, not taught. Like if we're authentic, they're gonna see us and they go, well, you know, Dad's a blue jeans and t-shirt guy, and no big deal. Like he's not trying to be anybody special, so I'm just gonna be who I am.
Yeah, Asher's gonna be like, my dad's a Ken doll. Like he wears something different every day, like whatever he's in the mood for. But yeah, I think it does go back to Mike. And like if we model authenticity in the way we act and talk, and we don't switch to who we're around, and we don't, change, they're going to see that. And that doesn't mean they have to mimic and model us. It hopefully means that as we communicate and they get older, that like, hey dude, if you like that, do it. Like if it's not detrimental, you know what I mean? Like go for it. And explore it. Like, because what if it's a passion and there's somebody else out there with that passion that thinks they're the only one, and then now you can do something with that. You know what I mean? I think that's the coolest thing about all of it is like we're all here for a different purpose, and we've all been given different skills, talents, gifts. And I think sometimes as dads we fall into this is what's expected, this is what I'm supposed to do, I'm just going to go through these, and then when I'm around my people or I'm around my friends from college, or then I can be me. But I can't be me at work, and I can't be me here. It's like, okay, well maybe you can't be you at work if you're like a MFer and a, but like, can you let your personality show? Can you be you? Can you be authentic and not be like, well, this is the me when I'm here and this is the me when I'm there. Like you are you everywhere.
Yeah.
And your kids see that. So don't come home and be like, now time to put on the dad hat.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's remember your why. You are a dad when you're asleep in the middle of the night, to when you're at work, to when you're working out, to when you're whatever. You're always a dad, and you're always a husband, or eventually you'll be a husband, and so yeah, like be authentic. Like that's one of the biggest things I want people to understand is like, because that's way more fun to talk to somebody that's different than you.
And I think when you're authentic, I really feel like you show that self-confidence. You know what
Yo,
I mean?
yeah.
Because you're not, well, I'm going to go be, it makes it harder to keep up with the Joneses than it is for you just to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like, we went to a church dinner last night with like a bunch of group, and like people were wearing like sweaters or whatever. And I was like, when's the last time I wore a sweater? Like I'm going to wear my jeans, my Jordans, and this sick new Moana t-shirt I got from Five Below for $4 because it's freaking awesome. Like I love it. And you know why I love it? Because I put it on yesterday morning, and Addie and Asher got up, and Addie was freaking out. Nana, 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 Nana. She like, every time I come in the room, forget Dad, she just wants to see my shirt. And I'm like, they love it. And I think it's fun.
Look away, look away.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay, so story time. I probably shared this before, but it's good. So Cindy, my mother-in-law, not the great with the internet, ordered Asher one of those like Tonys. He's got this box that he can like put things on. You know what I'm talking about? And so she ordered him a Moana one because he likes Moana. So we get it home from Christmas, and he starts playing it, and it's like, de nada, aquí, de nada. And I'm like, so then I'm looking online. How do I switch to, like Asher did something to switch this to Spanish. Nope. She ordered the Spanish Tony. So Asher does not care. He sits in that room and listens all day, and then I'll be sitting in there playing with him at night.
Bilingual now.
Yeah, and I go to bed, and all I can hear is de nada, aquí. Oh man, it is so fun, and it's every song from Moana in Spanish, and I'm like, well, hey, you're gonna figure it out. And now he's learned to tell people, like he'll probably tell you tonight if you come over, he'll be like, Grandma Cindy ordered the wrong one, but it's in Spanish.
Aquí.
Yeah, dude, it's so funny. So it's good. I like it. All right, so episode 62. I gotta go get a workout in now. Get that out of the way. Are you working out this morning?
I can. I was going to breakfast, men's breakfast. But
Oh, we'll do what you need to do.
but I got to drive, so I'm running it through my head right now.
Oh yeah,
so
I'm gonna hit some lurgs. But yeah, guys, episode 62. Appreciate it. Go be. This is the challenge this week. Find ways in your life and areas that you can be intentionally more authentic, because your kids will see it. And it's everything. Each thing we talk about, be intentional about, because it comes back to the why. Because your kids see it.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids see it. Every little thing you do. It's caught, not taught, like Mike talked about a few weeks ago. So that's episode 62. And I will let Andy Frisella's best friend close the show.
Bam. Peace.